The Law of Requital, implications for this life and beyond. The Quran states the purpose of the human creation is that Allah created the heavens and earth in truth or haqq, so that every self is recompensed for what it has earned and none is treated unjustly. There are three parts of this verse which needs our careful attention. First is that universe has been created by Allah with the sole purpose of holding man accountable, or seeing that what man does and how does he perform himself by taking responsibility, because man possesses free will and intent. And the third part is that nobody is treated unjustly. The system functions so precisely that there is no question of injustice to anyone. And some of these aspects we will very briefly touch upon in today's talk. The issue here is how to convince our intellect about the benefit of knowing this law and then, based on evidence, accepting it. We may have heard the following phrases: what we sow, so shall we reap. The law of unintended consequences. Just see unintended consequences. Over here, the law of requital says that you should know what exactly you are doing. What goes around comes around, or the history repeats itself. That is more at a collective level. The chickens have come home to roost. Murphy's law or Sod's law, the law of nature. Every cause has an effect. And last is karma. What is a human being? Human beings have two parts. The first part is our physical self, which follows the physical laws. For example, modern medicine deals with this side, i.e. our body and its function. Our inner thought process based on our mind, this includes a strong sense of identity, which is called I, and I does not change as we live our life. Emotions and feelings, of course, and this also includes desires, thinking about thinking, metacognition, memory, senses, seeing, hearing, smell, touch, taste, etc. What defines us? We wish to maximize our own happiness and minimize our own pain. We do not have inner guidance as we have free will, because we can make choices, so there is no inner guidance within us. For example, if we are hungry, we can eat anything. Our intellect helps us to fulfill our desires, and over here the question of the link between desire and intellect comes in. We desire and we use our intellect to accomplish our desires. We recognize bad more than good, and there was a study in America some times back which said that in successful marriages there should be 5 times good and 1 times bad. So a ratio of 5 to 1 is the minimum threshold where the marriages survive. If it falls below 5 to 1, then the cracks start appearing. We are judgmental, mutual accountability. And this question of, sometimes you hear people that you shouldn't be judgmental. No, we cannot avoid being judgmental. We do not wish to be held accountable for our deeds, and through this, the elite take advantage, and two values come up: might is right and divide and rule. We want quick results of our actions. We do not like to think about death, as it ends our life, and thinking about it gives us unhappiness. But we can't avoid it. It's a fact of life. Human intellect only accepts that which it perceives to be in its benefit. We like to be loved and appreciated. Our thinking precedes our deeds. First we think, and then we carry out our actions. At a basic level, we have prejudice, envy, competition, jealousy, love, joy, anger, despair, etc. And these emotions, we have to redirect them in the light of the law of requital. We do not have conscience. Conscience is internalized society. This word is used a lot, whereas if we look at it carefully, it is the values of the society and family in which we are brought up. That is what forms our conscience. And this conscience, and that is why if we go against these values, we feel a guilt. As we live our life, we create our own self through education, training, experience, sense perception, and it forms content of our consciousness at any point in time. And we can check it at any point in time. We can take out a piece of paper and write down what is in our consciousness. We create problems and we solve problems as we live our life. And finally, we acquire and form beliefs from our environment. For example, families, friends, colleagues, schools, media, experiences, study. These are not the only points. There are a number of other points as well which define us. But I have put down generally which I have come across through my reading. Some points of interest about the Quran. First is it's a non-human thinking. If we look at our own thinking and then study the Quran, we will see that the Quran does not think like human beings. But we can understand its content, its message, its guidance by using our intellect and reasoning. So it is an external standard or a criteria. That is why it's an option available to us to view our life differently, which might benefit us. And Law of Requital very much forms part of it. And in fact, Quran, right from beginning till end, tells us that we are responsible for our deeds and actions in this life. It's not a religious book, so Islam of the Quran is not the prevalent sectarian Islam which we see around in the world. It provides insight into human thinking. For example, desire for quick results does not wish to be held accountable and works for own interest. Because human beings want quick results. Quran says that whatever you send for tomorrow, you should see that exactly what you have done and what impact your deeds will have on your rest of your life on this planet and the life which is to come beyond your physical death. So it draws our attention to our inner accountability all along and tells us which deeds will contribute to our hereafter and which deeds will do damage to our personality, to ourself, here as well as in the hereafter. It gives permanent values which do not change with time. So the values which were prevalent, that these values were the same for the first man on this earth and will be the same for the last man on earth. So this is Quranic justice. It refers to progressive and emergent evolutions. So Quran does answer that how did man evolve and what are human limitations and what are human strengths. This is a big subject in its own right, and I will deal with it in another clip. Scaling of human deeds. The Quran tells us the scales of good as well as bad deeds. Which deeds in terms of righteousness are higher than the other deeds. Similarly, on the evil side, it tells us that which deeds degrade us and affect ourselves. Laws governing the rise and fall of nations, civilizations are mentioned in the Quran, and by the study of those laws and those conditions, we can assess the state of every country, nation, even the whole world at any point in time. The concept of God given in the Quran is not a religious concept or a man-made concept. It is a concept, it's an objective standard which is based on Allah's attributes and the Quranic values. The concept of Allah given in the Quran is unique and it exists. It does not need human acceptance for its existence. There is a book, The Human Self and Allah, by G.A. Pervez, which covers it in detail. There are essentially two concepts of life according to the Quran. The first one is that the life ends with death and there is no purpose of life, as we are just a product of evolution by accident and hence no accountability. Death of our brain will end our life. This is essentially the materialistic concept of life, that human being is just an advanced stage of an animal, and once we die, that's the end of it. And whatever we do in this life, once we die, there is nothing, there is no accountability beyond it. The second concept is that human creation has a purpose, i.e. accountability of every self, and since there is another life, therefore the effects of our deeds, if these do not appear here, these will show up in the life beyond death. because essentially we will become whatever we do over here in this life. So when we leave death, we will exactly start the next life in the state in which we ended just prior to our death. And this is an important point to understand in the light of the law of requital. And it says that something within us which can survive our death, which is essentially our strong sense of identity and the self which we have created. Our life pattern will be different depending upon our choice. The law of requital. Every cause has an effect. In moral sphere, this is called the law of requital. Everyone gets the result of his deliberate deeds. The result is only of own work, whether done individually or as part of a team. And finally, no deed can remain without a consequences. Good deeds, good results. Bad deeds, bad results. Connected with this is also a law of respite, which says the time interval between the deed and the result is called the respite period. The time of respite is allowed so that before the final end of man, he can take actions to save himself from the consequences of his wrong deeds. Essentially, the good deeds replace the effects of bad deeds. The Quran admits that human beings will make mistakes and do make mistakes, but we need to realize that we have made a mistake and then we compensate it by doing a lot of good. The balancing of deeds. The weighing of deeds on that day is a truth as for those whose deeds heavy in the scales. Deeds weigh heavy in the scales, it is they who are successful. And then as for those whose deeds weigh light in the scales, it is they who have ruined their self because they used to wrongfully treat our signs. So it is essentially, Quran has put full responsibility on human beings in this life. How to convince our intellect about the working of the law of requital. First is learn to be inquisitive, ask questions. And we should question every belief system which we have. If we have inherited any, we must question it and check it against the law of requital. Question death. Why? What lies beyond death? Possibility of another life. Seek guidance. Important. Life will end my stay on this earth. And that will be the end of it. I'm never going to come back. And then I should question it. That what is within me, if it gets better, will it make any difference to me in my later part of life? And this is what we should be questioning ourselves, whatever we do while living this life. Question freedom to choose, take responsibility for our own deeds, and enjoy doing this. Responsibility gives us higher level of consciousness. It broadens our consciousness level. We start seeing things which we haven't seen before, taking responsibility for our deeds. Question poverty and human deprivation and the possible solutions. We being equal. When a child is born, it is equal to any other child anywhere in the world. And it doesn't bring anything into this life. And similarly, when we leave, when we die, we don't take anything with us. We just die. We leave our body behind. So all the conflicts between the birth and the death are human created. Start getting aware of own emotions and thinking process. Gain knowledge and learn about the law of requital. Observe others and their behavior. Look for explanations. Know where you are and where you wish to be. Now this is a very important point, that in the law of requital, the development of ourself and our personality is within our own remit, within our own hands. Whatever we do, whatever profession we do to earn our living, as far as self is concerned, that is common to all of us. And this self is not related to our gender. At a thinking level, at a cognitive level, we are all equal. Learn about the human problems of the world. Live beyond physical boundaries. Study and question the Quranic values and study Deen as a system, which is from individual to a collective system. And at an individual level, if we develop ourselves, it will make it easier to understand the collective system called Deen. Some conclusions. Man is the only creation in the visible universe who possesses free will. Universe is created for him. Just imagine, if we are not around, this universe is meaningless. We put a meaning to this universe. So the universe is for us, we don't belong here. We are a non-physical being. There are far bigger universes waiting for us. So that is, if we look at that way, then we will be able to see the bigger picture. And Quran draws our attention to this bigger picture continuously, right from beginning till end. By virtue of possessing ability to choose, man is held responsible for his actions. Our decisions affect our inner self, which develops through our thinking. So our heaven and hell is within us. We create it with our own hands. So if Allah does not give it to us, we achieve it by following a righteous path after acquiring iman or conviction that there is a life which is going to come and we are accountable for whatever we do. So once I have created my own self in the light of these values, then nobody can take it away. This is my own self, achieved through my own deeds. The human self has the ability to survive the physical death. This is why human death is universal. The law of requital and the law of respite work in relation to the development of the human self. And finally, the law of requital exists whether we are aware of it or not, whether we like it or not. Without understanding and accepting it, we will never find peace in human world. And thank you very much for watching.